Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Bolani, the Senior Product Manager for Release. I'm here with Daniel Fusco, the Senior Product Designer for Release. And this is the Release 14.9 planning issue. So we'll go through the goals and engineering deliverables for the milestone. I'll pass it over to Daniel to discuss the design work. I'll also go through the docs work that's happening, and then we'll wrap up from there. Okay, so for the goals for the milestone, what we want to do is iterate on the major features that we've been working on. So specifically, that's in the environment page redesign and the deployment approval work. The next goal is continuing our work on reliability. And the last goal is to continue our work on our instrumentation of the product. All right, so on to the issues. For our release P1 issues, we'll start with adding the approve or reject comment to our approval feature. And so this is critical for this feature to allow our users to add a comment for the approver or rejector. And so the idea is being able to add more context as to why they approved or rejected that deployment job. And this is really critical for, especially for sort of compliance and auditing, for users and teams to provide that justification for their decision. The next one is continuing our redesigning work of the environments pages that we have. So specifically, we'll be applying those new design components to the environment detail page. And so again, what we want to really do is improve the readability and usability of that page. And now that we've built all these components, we're able to reuse them and apply the new design. The next one is aggregate counts for deployments. And so today, we're not quite counting deployments that may not use environments as part of their YAML file. And so this is continuing work to actually improve the accuracy and make sure we count those deployments so we better understand how users are deploying using GitLab. And then so this issue in particular aggregates the counts that we have for deployment stages as well as deployment jobs. The next one is multiple on-stop for an environment. So today, there's a limitation in that we only run one of the on-stop hooks that are defined in a CI YAML file. And so what this issue proposes is to extend that functionality to allow users to define multiple hooks, which may be useful for potentially more complex deployments and kind of teardowns of certain environments. And we want to make sure we can account for all the different sort of branches and complexity that deployment may have. As you can note, this is also a very popular issue, so we want to make sure that we're continue to add value for our users and provide functionality that will be useful for their workflows. The next one is group level protected environments do not support invited groups. So as you can see, this was created 6 days ago, but this is a key limitation that one of our customers who's implementing GitLab ran into. And I'm excited that we're able to sort of respond quickly and get this resolved. And so the problem is that at the group level, protected environments weren't supported with invited groups. We want to add that capability in this milestone. The next one is separate access model for deployment approval. So today, what we built in our MVC provides the ability to find users that are allowed to do the approval as part of being kind of users in the protected environments. What we want to do is sort of extend that model in terms of having separate groups and users that can do the execution, the executors of the deployment, versus users that can do the actual approval. And so this model is very common in sort of a segregation of duties model, where users that actually kind of write the code and deploy are separate from users that actually approve those deployments. And so we want to add functionality into this feature to allow users to be able to find those separate groups for those deployments. The next one is continuing the reliability work for GitLab pages. And so specifically, this one is adding rate limits for TLS connections. Now that we've completed IP and domain-based limiting, we want to add kind of extend that rate limiting capability for TLS connections in particular, which will help alleviate CPU usage and make sure that the feature is continues to be reliable for our users. All right, and so those are our P1 deliverables. We have a few P2 and P3, as you can see here, a few security issues, continuing our instrumentation work, and a few of the UX scorecard recs that we can pull in if there's more capacity. With that, I'll hand it over to Daniel to discuss the design issues.
Thanks, Chris. I'm not sharing my camera because my connection was a little bit unstable. But all right, let's go over the design for 14.9. From the top, you can see our themes for this milestone. The main one is actually the second one, connecting releases, environments, and deployments features across GitLab. Environment adoption here is being tackled from the perspective of fixing usability bugs and improving small features, small issues across environments to ease adoption of these features. So the first one is the connection between releases and environments. This issue has been proposed a while back, and it's still a very generic proposal. So the idea here is to scope out this issue, separate it into smaller ones, and then start designing or validating whatever is needed to bring these issues closer, right? So either showing environments and deployments information in the releases page or vice versa to help our users have more connected workflows. After that, the three ones after that with the severity labels are part of a broader initiative from the UX department to address UX issues that have severity labels. Some of them have been open for quite some time. So these are usually small issues, but as an aggregate, they make a lot of difference on the user experience. So I'm happy that we're tackling these as a department, and also happy that they align pretty well with the work that we are already doing in release. So you can see here the first one is a small bug with how environments show themselves as stopped if onStop fails. Next up, we have scary wording for redeploying environments, essentially improving the copy around the buttons to redeploy environments. And the third one is a bug with GitLab pages when you archive your project. The issue with week 3 after these, show deployment rollback and redeploy labels, is another improvement to our rollback and redeploy interface that connects with the first one with the severity 2. So I'm happy that we'll be tackling this from 2 different directions to improve how our users can rollback or redeploy their deployments. After that, we have 2 other UX issues. One of them is a UX tab that we want to tackle. And the last entry is continuing the pajamas work that has been started in 14.8 to get our new UIs for environments and deployments and make them into components. So it's easier to adopt them across GitLab. And that's it for design. Handed it back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Daniel. Okay, you'll notice a new section in our planning issue. And in the spirit of collaboration, we've added a doc section for coordinating and highlighting the technical writing work that our stable counterpart, Russell, will be taking on, in addition to the milestone sort of feature documentation that's always ongoing. And so for that additional work, we have 2 line items here. The first is a research spike to clean up the GitLab pages administration documentation that we have. This is a very popular feature, and so we want to make sure our documentation also is able to answer all the questions that we get from our users and customers, and sort of refactor to make sure that it's easy to follow and readable. And then the next one, which I'm also really excited about, is documenting how to use Semantic Release with GitLab. So we actually got a customer call or a customer request about semantic versioning for our releases feature. And today we don't have native support for semantic versioning yet. It's on our roadmap, but in the meantime, Shinya provided an approach that uses an open source package called Semantic Release. And there's already a package out there. There's already a plugin that users can easily integrate and use with GitLab. And so we thought it would be a great idea to provide, just to add that documentation to our pages so that users are able to leverage GitLab and this package to get the benefit of doing semantic versioning. So we think this is a great sort of solution until we can actually build it natively in GitLab. And we're going to work on that this milestone. All right, so that's what we have planned for 14.9. More detail in this planning issue. Any